All right, so we got 6:30. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We don't have anybody with us for public comments, so we'll breeze through that. Anything for agenda review?
Yes. If we could add non-public B and C. And we have 3 consent items. We have the bus stop approval, program of studies, that's been in the drive, I just forgot to put it on the agenda. And then a leave request came in today, that's pretty simple, I think we can knock off tonight.
Hey, thanks. Board members, anything to add? All right, then we've got minutes from 1/7 and 1/21. Anybody want?
Can I just say something about those? Before I forget, you have the minutes for 121 are marked confidential and non-public, but once they're approved, they're going to be unsealed because we had sealed them pending action that was taken. So it's okay to go ahead and approve those in public, and once they're approved, we'll unseal them.
We need a motion for that. Is that just automatic because we already voted on it? Right. Okay, so is there a motion on 7th, 21st, or both?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 7th and January 21st, 2025.
All right, is there a second? Second. All right, any corrections, questions, conversation? All right, then all in favor of approving the minutes of January 7th and January 21st, 2025, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Board reports. I don't have my list. I don't know what's in. Yeah.
There was a chart.
Yeah, I'm not, I mean, I think since we have admin here, I'd like to ask them for theirs, but I'm not sure if anybody else like NBC, exec board, just speak up if you got stuff to share. Otherwise, I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about tonight. So if we get through things a little bit quicker in the beginning, that's cool. But we will start with the principals. Sure. I always, whoever doesn't have a microphone, I'm sorry. I swear I don't mean to do that.
So throughout the month of January, we did a lot of we just finished up kind of our mid-year benchmarking. I know I talk about that a lot, but it's something that really drives all the decisions and things that we do to support our students. So we just finished all of that up. We're scheduled to meet as a staff to review all of it on Thursday. I know I say that with the pending weather. We're going to take a look at where we are and kind of just get a picture of where our students have grown. And that's what we use to determine kind of our next steps going into the rest of this school year. And then we start to create our goals even for the next school year now. We've seen a lot of great growth over the last year and a half, and it's been really awesome. So we're excited to continue with that. On our January PD day, our staff looked at our K2 teachers, spent time looking in something called Geodes, which is a companion, the phonics like companion to our wisdom, which is our literacy curriculum, to kind of dig into that as a resource that we were able to get through a grant. So that's something that they were looking at. And then our 3rd and 4th grade teachers spent time creating their SAS practice planning schedule. So we, over the last several years, have really worked to make SAS not something that the anxiety is not there for the kiddos. They understand what the test is. They understand all of that, but it takes actual teaching of the interface and things like that. So when they get to the test, they're comfortable and confident with it. And we've seen a lot of success with that. So our 3rd and 4th grade teachers planned for that. Our Unified Arts team is working on our Spring Arts Night coming up. And then next week, we have our talent show. We have 80 acts. If anybody's interested, yes. And they keep those 80 acts going. You've got 30 seconds. Our Unified Arts team is amazing. Yeah, they get the kiddos going. So
I almost got killed by a unicycle at one of those back in the day.
Yeah. We don't think we have a unicycle this year. So that will happen on the 13th at 6. And then, yeah, so we'll be in the building for that. And that's kind of where we are right now at middle school.
Thank you. Any questions for Wendy?
It's going to be over in an hour, so you can go to the talent
show that.
Awesome.
Just stop by for a little bit. It's really.
Will do. All right, we'll go to TRS, but I don't know, you guys can fight it out. Russell, I don't know.
Well, Katie has a list prepared, but I'll just add one thing. We did our winter iReady. So that was completed right before I came on, but I was able to look at the data and overall as a school, TRS saw improvements from winter last year to winter this year in performing above or on grade level. So in reading and just kind of building on that, so, you know, our PD day was spent looking at iReady as well, and, you know, the data that we've collected now for 2 benchmark periods, so we're able to compare September to winter. So we had curriculum teams work on what they're seeing as far as assessments and kind of what they need to do to move forward to help kids grow even more. Building off of that, vocabulary has been an area of weakness on iReady since we started that assessment. So we had our speech path do a training on vocabulary and, you know, how to increase that, you know, grade level to grade level, but also in, you know, everyday conversation with students. And we also did a safety training with Officer Weber. He's fantastic and is always willing to help us with whatever we need. We had our winter concerts in January, so those went pretty great. We separate 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 on 2 different nights. So, you know, it was nice to see what the kids have been working on, band and chorus. Some kind of like big New Hampshire Chronicle news. TRS will be on New Hampshire Chronicle this Friday at 7 p.m. And it's all about our crochet club. So if you're able to, apparently we're going to be the very first part of New Hampshire Chronicle this Friday. If you're not able to catch it Friday evening, there will be a streaming link posted on Monday. We go to the New Hampshire Chronicle page.
Can you tell them how you came to be part of that? Because it's kind of a neat story.
So New Hampshire Chronicle called a few weeks ago, and, you know, the reporter mentioned that they were doing a story on a craft store that's downtown. So there's like a DIY craft store. And so they were doing a story, you know, with the owner of that store. And, you know, the owner was talking about what inventory she can't keep in stock, that like once she gets stuff in, it's gone. And so the reporter was like, well, you know, tell me more. And so the owner was talking about all these crochet clubs that have popped up in schools in the area. And so the reporter was like, okay, tell me more. And so the owner actually named several schools that have crochet clubs, and TRS was one of them. Actually, come to find out, the owner of the store is a TRS parent.
Oh, cool.
So she recommended that the reporter reach out to us and kind of come visit our club to see what it's all about. And they did. So that was super cool, and we're looking forward to seeing that Friday evening. Only other thing to note, our girls basketball team is currently undefeated going into playoffs. So they play semifinals tomorrow and then finals hopefully on Thursday.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions for Katie or Virginia? Great, thanks. We look at PA.
Okay, good evening. On the 24th, we had an all-school assembly where we had everyone in our school community watch a unified basketball game against our unified basketball team and visiting Bow Squad. And that went very well. And then the following week, our unified team went to MV to do a similar school assembly over there. So this is the second year that we've done that assembly here. It went very well, and everyone was really impressed with the behavior of all of the students in the stands and how supportive they were of both teams. So that was really kind of a big highlight. As some of you may know, semester 1 report cards went out yesterday. And Our athletics, our hockey team, PAC Hockey, raised over $2,000 on Saturday the 25th for a Fight Cancer fundraiser. They had pink jerseys, and that went very well, and they were pleased with that figure for an amount raised. And just decided today we are going to hold our semester 1 academic awards on Monday, February 17th, to acknowledge the hard work of students in each of our courses. That's something we've done for many years now for both semesters. So we'll do it on the 17th, and then we will recognize students for second semester performances on class day at the end.
Awesome. Thank you. Any questions for Dan? Okay, thank you, everyone. Anything from exec board or NBC, or we were talking a lot about that tonight?
I guess, oh, I don't care. So NBC met last Thursday and went over the school warrant. Motion was made and the motion was carried 5-4 to recommend a budget less $400,000 from what we had originally proposed. So I think that number's 33,029,007 something at this point in time. So it's exactly $400,000 now. This was done in conjunction with reducing the town's budget by $150,000 to get the tax rate to only increase by $2 per thousand. That was a goal that was kind of set by a board member. It's like, I'd like to see it here, and the rest of the committee agreed. So that's where we are right now. The town had an added warrant of a CBA for Department of Public Works. And then there will be an additional water bond warrant being bonds, loan kind of thing. That's not finalized yet, but that was discussed and also will be on the town side of it.
Okay. And in case anybody hasn't heard, NBC, in conjunction with Patty's office, made a decision to move the meeting, the public budget hearing that's supposed to be this Thursday night, to next Thursday night, the 13th at 7 in the cafeteria.
Yes.
Posted it lots of places, but in case you didn't see. Carrie, did you have something?
I do. Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, Keith. We're talking $150,000 for the town.
Yeah.
Any others? Any other places where they?
No.
Yeah, so I just want for the record, the $2 figure was just a dart on the wall, kind of.
Yeah.
There was no math.
Right.
A lot of the discussion, it keeps coming up about affordability. Right. And yes, it's about affordability, how all of us, how other residents can pay for the town and for the school. And I kind of tend to disagree right now on affordability, because what we have to pay for is the majority of which is mandated. So it goes beyond affordability. It's not about affordability anymore. The town's just trying to, and I think they understand, and they want to, try to slow the rate. And I don't think there's anything, let's stick it to the town or stick it to the school. They understand what both the town and the schools went through last year, and they don't know how we're going to do it. They put it in the 1100 lines, but we can basically maneuver if we want to go with their recommendation, manipulate our budget from other lines, not just the 1100. So, but yeah, it was arbitrary. And the $2 was down from 244. 244. 44 cents. Yeah, which equates to a trap for us. Right. What? Yeah. The grand total is $550,000 at 8 cents per $100,000. Okay.
Thanks. Any other questions? Carrie?
Exec board met last week. to go over the resumes that we've received for the superintendent search. We narrowed our candidates down to 3 that we're going to be interviewing in a couple weeks. We've scheduled 2 of them. The third one has not gotten back to us, so I'm going to take a hint and assume that that means they're no longer interested. So exec board is going to try and decide if we want to pull another resume from the ones that we discarded, or if we're just going to stick with the 2 that we have scheduled to interview. So that's February 15th is when we're going to be doing those interviews. And then there'll be an email going out, but we are going to plan on doing a community forum on March 6th so that teachers, staff, administrators from 4:30 to 5:30 can meet the candidates. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll have community members, any community members that are interested come in, and we'll kind of have a roundtable type discussion, question and answer, with the 2 candidates being kind of put in different groups for the forum. That's kind of the tentative plan right now, but as we all know, things change, so I'll keep you posted. And then hopefully final decision will be on March 10th when the full board will be meeting. And we were supposed to have a meeting next Wednesday. We are going to cancel that. Yeah, so that we can move it to March.
That meet the candidate, that was March 6th.
Yes, yeah. You say full boards must get March 10th, are they? No, we're here to 17. We're gonna final. Okay, yeah, cancel
The February meeting and,
for example.
yes, and have a full board meeting, yes. March 10th, yes.
Cool, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other boards, committees that I forgot that have anything for tonight? All right. Consent agenda, so we've got a bus stop.
So Linda contacted me because we've had, the houses are now starting to be rented in Pembroke Pines, and we had Wendy had 4 students, so we needed to get a bus stop added for those students. So Linda submitted a form. I did put it in the drive for you.
Anybody have questions?
I don't have questions about this particular bus stop. I mean, I know I'm seeing a whole lot more kids on my way to work now when I go through the condos. But I do have a question, and it might not be anything that either one or yourself can answer, but I'm under the impression that we're short on buses or bus runs, or because some of the kids are getting off one bus and getting onto another bus at TRS, and then they are continuing to the.
Yeah, we've done that for years.
Oh, okay, I guess I didn't.
Yep.
Yes, never my kiddo doing it, so, okay, that's fine, thank you, I just wondering what's going on there.
Yeah, we've done that transfer, and we've had to be creative to make
Yeah,
it
so
work.
I assume so.
Yeah. And just so you know, Linda went down and kind of drove all around, and she's concerned. It's not an issue right now, but I haven't been down to see, but there's a section where if we get any students, the bus is not gonna be able to get in and turn around. So it will be a situation of a central bus stop that parents would have to get their kids to. It's not gonna, be able to go house to house, basically, which is not expected, but she just gave me the heads up that was the
Yeah,
case.
I mean, it's not a huge area.
And I was kind of going to go back to what you just said too, because, she seemed concerned that she may get some pushback by not going to the house-to-house thing, but I think at some point in time, it's densely populated down there, and it's not a long walk from any of those condos to a central stop.
Yeah,
So,
it's not main roads, there's roads of wide, it's not like the one we had where somebody was walking on North Pembroke Road. It's not.
Right. And I mean, there's a central stop for the first set of development of the condos. So, I mean, I think cause an uproar if we change that for the other side of the street.
You need a motion on that? Yes.
motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any other further discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the bus route sheet with the new stop as presented, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Program studies.
Dr. Morris is gonna go over his, changes that he's proposing to the program of studies. I have a copy if you want to read it.
Okay, good evening again. I won't go like verbatim through this. I think you'll find we have, a change in the name of a course. We have some changes in course descriptions. Most of those are just to align with some curricular changes in the classes. If I can, I will draw your attention to our new and returning classes, which is probably 4 pages in. And here you'll see that we are proposing a survey of British literature. This is actually a class that we started this year, in some ways out of necessity because we needed an elective class. It's gone really well, and so we are proposing to put that in a more formal basis in the program of studies. The Social Studies Department is requesting an Honors Global Studies. We haven't had an Honors Global Studies in a number of years, and they'd like to bring that back. And then also proposing a current issues classes. We used to have a class called History of Your Life, which Amy used to teach that class. And, it would start in the 80s and kind of continue from there. That class has not run in the past 2 years, and so the feeling is that a current issues class might be more appealing to students to register for that class. For the music department, they are requesting a chamber chorus. All of these classes would, if approved, go into the program of studies and then be offered for course registrations, but that does not necessarily mean that they would run. We have to judiciously allocate our resources depending on what the course registration numbers are. Anyway, chamber chorus is something that they are requesting. It would be kind of an honors level chorus class. And there would be an audition required for that. Math is proposing a few classes. We already offer functions. It's a full year class. They want to propose a half year section of functions as well as a half year section of trigonometry. And then we have a list of removed classes. Some of these classes are removed because we haven't been able to garner interest for students registering for them. Some have been removed because we've lost staff members, either through cuts or because they've left. So for instance, Project Science, Advanced Placement Physics 2, we've lost staff members who used to teach those classes. Although I will say AP Physics 2 has not run. Natural Resources was kind of a redundancy in the department. We have another class that's similar to that. In Social Studies, Honors Constitutional Law, History of Your Life, those are classes that we have not been able to run. And then in technology, a lot of these classes, you may remember, we had 2 technology teachers. One teaches technology and business, and the other was full technology, kind of the advanced technology classes. That position was cut, so a number of these more advanced classes like JavaScript, Python, that kind of thing, those are proposed to be taken out of the program studies because we don't have it. And that concludes my presentation.
Great questions?
So, yeah. On the constitutional law class, is there interest in that class, or was it because of teaching?
I got it.
Yeah.
You can tell us.
So that one is not being proposed to be cut. That department didn't lose a position.
Okay.
And they've had minimal turnover, so it's not because of, they're just redundancies.
Gotcha.
Others?
I think we just said, let that one, like, hey, if high school kids are interested in constitutional law, yeah.
Right, yeah.
All right,
People at the most,
okay. Again,
but
yeah.
Okay, then is there a motion to approve the changes to program study? Second,
I'll second.
one last call for discussion, questions. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Or abstentions? Okay,
Like I told you, we had a leave request come in today. It did make it into your drive. If no one saw it. It's very short. It's one paragraph and it's pretty straightforward. You see it? So it's a child rearing leave, April 10th, and then after April vacation on May 5th.
any other questions? So. Good question.
Motion to approve the leave request.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Or abstentions? All right, that brings us to agenda item number 7. So first off is budget review. So as Gene mentioned, municipal budget committee has recommended a number that's $400,000 less than what we, I don't want to say that we originally offered, because the original budget was higher than that. We've already done the work. Betty, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So we did meet as an administrative team this morning for a couple of hours and went through the budget. We would request that we have the initial conversation in non-public to talk about staff. You know, we can probably get a list of things, but 400,000 is going to involve positions, and we'd like to have a conversation about personnel in non-public if we could. And then if you wanted to discuss the budget when we came out, that would be your prerogative, but we do need to have a non-public.
Okay. Makes sense to me. Does anybody have questions about that?
Well, I guess my question would be, I mean, I think we all have a feeling about this reduction. I think we all have a thought about this reduction, and we cannot lose personnel. So I think our thoughts were cutting from other parts of the budget, mainly. This is gonna upset people, but those co-curricular lines, we've got nowhere else to trim. We have no fat in our budget, and we can't lose any more staff, no more administrators, no more teachers, custodians, nothing. We need to keep what we have, and we've got to find, if it comes to the point where we are required to, and this is my opinion, I'm speaking for myself, if it comes to the point where we are required to make a cut, I think it needs to come from somewhere in that area and not from staff.
So that kind of, we're going to leapfrog a little bit, Sandy, because I think that leads us into 7C. We may want to, I'm not sure if we want to have this discussion now or not. We may want to have it after non-public, after we've had some of the more in-depth budget conversation, but you know, there are options as far as March meeting, right? And I think I probably won't hit them all, but we can try to reduce our budget to meet the request of the municipal budget committee. The disadvantages to that are obvious. The advantage is we go to that meeting with the same number, which is an advantage when it comes to public. We can try to reduce our budget some other amount between 0 and 400,000 and go into the meeting with a different number but lower than what we have now. Or we can say we don't agree with the municipal budget committee's recommendation and go into the meeting with our number, and that's okay too. So that's something that we need to think about and talk about amongst ourselves is which of those are we comfortable with, or are there any that make us really uncomfortable, and sort of decide on what we would do. So like I said, I'm not sure if now's the time for that discussion, if we want to come back to it after we've seen, after we've heard what Patty has to say.
I mean, I'm with Carrie. The personnel situation right now, when, we've got at Hill School, kindergartens with no paraprofessionals and 15, 16, 17 kids in the classrooms. Go to TRS, we just dismantled the whole language arts department last year. And then on to PA, where kids can't take classes because we don't have the staff to make their schedules work. It just makes absolutely no sense to even look at staff at this point in time because there's nothing there. I mean, we're begging to get paraprofessionals back in the kindergarten classrooms. So the teachers can teach. If there's something going on, a kid has to go to the bathroom, a kid gets sick, the kid has a behavior issue, there's a paraprofessional there to help the teacher in dealing with that and not stopping the whole class. So, and I know, if those situations arise, they call out to the office, somebody steps in, comes from next, or whatever the case may be. But again, learning is interrupted at that point in time. So and that's true in all the buildings. So, yeah, the staff thing, and I vocalized this, kind of emphatically to the NBC that we're not going to look at staff, period. That's not what we're going to do. So it's got to come from somewhere else, and it's the low hanging fruit, like the kiln shelves. I won't talk about the laminator. The kiln shelves, instrument repairs, hurdles, that kind of stuff. Yes, do we need them? Absolutely, they're integral. Yep, 100%. I get it, but that doesn't have anything to do with education. So those are things that are outside of the course of studies. We're not going to mess with the courses of study for these kids. It's been messed up enough in the past year and a half so far. So, however we want to talk about this, obviously we have to listen to what Patty has gone through. That's where I kind of stand on this thing right now. And if so be it, we choose to ignore the budget committee's recommendation, then we choose to ignore it because, as happened last year, both the town and the schools took a big hit. There's nowhere else. It's no longer about affordability. It's about providing the services that we're mandated to provide to the best of our ability to the students that reside in this town that come to these schools. That's it. It hurts. It hurts every single one of us. We have to change our budgets. People on a fixed income, it hurts. And, all of them probably had kids that came through this school. So they had an education provided to them at the cost of all the taxpayers, not just themselves in their tax bills. So it's something that we have to figure out how to portray, how to get out to those people that come and vote.
Yeah, I guess for my 2 cents, I agree, unless, our hand is forced. I'm not interested in talking about personnel. Who knows what will happen in March, but I don't think that for me is in the discussion currently. I will point out one thing, and I'm just being stupid here, but I wouldn't say we would ignore the municipal committee's recommendation. We would consider it and agree to disagree.
I didn't.
I
just went that way.
Some people play gotcha with us.
Andy, both echo, but also, as the person who sat here on scope, it was said, let's just put it all back in the budget and see what happens, which I would still want to do. And that wasn't, but I raised that point to demonstrate that we're already making it in its, session. That we're not going back to store what we lost, except for paraprofessional position. So, sympathetic to what the budget committee needs to think about. I don't like putting a number out there because it's psychological. I think that's the wrong way to do budgeting. And so I think we can, to your point, consider and respectfully say, this is the number we landed on. It's still a reduction, significant for us and for our kids. And this is our minimum. And anything after that is fairly drastic. The 44 cents per thousand saving on a $250,000 home is $110. That's it. I don't think it's really in our best interest to start something. Because then it's going to be $600,000. Then it's going to be $800,000. And then we won't have it. And I know that we're worried about the people who show up and start throwing, all kinds of nonsense. I think we also have to think about the people who show up and expect us to lead. And that's where we should.
And that's our job. It's our charter.
But one thing, somebody brought up to me, because I kind of said the same thing. I figured out what 44 cents saves me in a yearly basis on my house is $380. And I said, that's, I think that's me not stopping at the gas station for a taquito a couple of, whatever. Those are good. But anyway.
That's why you're gonna need those Ellens in there.
Right, exactly. But, to that point, so if we don't get rid of that, this is an argument that somebody could pose, is that, well, if, it's $300 this year, we don't take it out, then you add in another, $600 next year, that bill keeps growing and the affordability becomes an issue. Again, it's not about affordability. And that's an argument that we have to face.
And I think
moving forward.
I think part of the response to that needs to be that, and not even just specifically for that 44 cents, right? Whatever admin may have come up with to say, yeah, we could do without this next year, right? It's a 1-year plan. If we're talking about repairs to things, if we're talking about replacement of things that we can eke one more year out of, you're not saving money, you're just kicking it down the road a year. And the only situation where that makes financial sense is if you expect next year's going to be better. With what's going on in New Hampshire and what's going on in the United States, does anybody here think next year's going to be better? Like, there's no outlook that says, oh, next year the town's budget is going to be better. We're going to have less to do. Things will settle down. It's not the case. So what happens, and I've said this before, is if you continue to defer these things, you're going to end up with more buildings that are in disrepair like Village School was. And here we are, and now, talk about we've already made reductions. We've not made progress on expanding that school or even renovating it and bringing up to be modern. That's a huge thing that's not in this budget that should be, by my estimation. And we're not doing that. And the reason that school is closed, a lot of us were on that committee at the time, we were told there had been so much delayed maintenance with roofs and everything else that just to bring it to code was going to be $3 to $5 million. Not to improve it, just to make it so the insurance company would keep us on the books and we could allow children to be in it. If we kick $100,000, $200,000 worth of maintenance activities and things like that and say, we'll do it next year, they're going to say you're going to say the same thing. And 6, 8, 10 years from now, you're going to be looking at another building that either we need to take out a huge bond for to bring up to code. There's no way around that. So, like I said, my outlook is unless you can look at next year and for some reason think that the economic situation for the town and the school district is going to be significantly better and we can slide all those things in, then moving it a year doesn't make any sense. It won't accomplish any goals.
That being said, even if we had the crystal ball, even if we knew next year the economy is going to take off and there's going to be all this federal and state money coming in, that doesn't change the fact that just kidding. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I just, you hit on something that I actually wanted to bring up before.
Sure.
With the Hill School, there was, and I was shocked. I will be the first to say I was shocked, the person that actually brought this up. But they were talking about getting rid of the capital reserve fund that we have for the Hill School renovation, remodel, rebuild, make us better, whatever we're calling it. Saying that we're not doing anything, we're not gonna be able to do anything, and therefore we should close that and put that and help that to offset our budget. I was good. I stayed in my seat. I didn't lose my mind, but I have to say, there's a lot of people that put a lot of hard work into the plans for that school. And to just take that money and say, okay, we're not gonna do this. I'm not giving up on that goal. That is a goal that we set, not just for the students, but for the entire town. That is a goal. We want that to be a community place that we can go for activities, for shows, whatever comes down the line. And not that we're entertaining that, but I'm just saying that is something that was brought up and I'm not going there.
Before to that point, one of the things when that trust was conceived and presented to the voters, they voted for that, not for anything else. So for us to go back and change the purpose or delete that fund, we told them any money's left over, go to the construction. We have money left over right now. That's to go to the construction, not anywhere else. That's why it was reserved for that. And if we do that, we lose face. We're talking out of both sides of our face of it, so.
Okay, so how do we want to move forward tonight? There's definitely some stuff we need to talk about non-public that has to do with the budget. So do we want to, what do we have on the board? What topic is that?
You'll need to re-vote on number 2 because it's a new number now. And then the only other thing was, Jerry brought up, which was a good point, that if the article doesn't pass to add $200,000 more to site improvement, we won't be withdrawing anything for the track because we don't have enough money. So I just added a sentence, the article is contingent upon the approval of Article 6.
Okay. So we can,
that.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I saw his comment and it was, it's good to let people know if this deposit doesn't happen, there's no withdrawal.
Okay. So I guess I'm inclined to circle back to all these after non-public, but input from everybody, if that makes sense. Okay, so if you happen to be watching at home, we will keep the meeting running this time and unlock it and let people back in when we're finished with non-public. We also have policies before non-public. Do we have quick action on some of these, or are these going to go in the weeds?
Yeah, it depends on if you've had a chance. So Dan updated the early graduation policy as asked, and then I updated the professional development that we had talked about and redlined that. So if you saw those and you're comfortable with them, those 2 are ready.
Okay, I'm good with those 2. Are people ready on those 2?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions from anybody on those 2? Okay, and is there a motion on those 2?
I'll make a motion to approve policies IKFA and GCI.
Is there a second?
A second.
One last call for questions. All right, then all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
And I think in light of the rest of what we have to deal with tonight, we're gonna just move the other policies to second reading.
Thank you.
And then if I could just add, we added, we got you updated on the NHSBA updated policies, so now we're circling back to the really old ones. So those are 1990s, and I can work with Melanie and Carrie to see if there are policies that we can rescind or they need to be updated, one or the other.
Carrie, Melanie, if you so desire, I know a professional librarian that said she'd be happy to review IJL and see if anything jumps out to her, if you'd like that.
Let's spread that out.
She may have written a bunch of those. Okay, so still nobody here for public comment. Anything for informational? So we listed, everybody, okay? Okay, Patty, I'm not sure who needs to stay, who needs to go, but the board has need to go into non-public session in accordance with New Hampshire RSA 91-8, Roman numeral 2, small letters B and C. Small letter B is the hiring of any person as a public employee, and C is matters which, if discussed in public, likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than the employee. On a roll call vote to enter non-public at 7:15. Ken?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
So I think the first thing we need to take care of is approval of the warrant with the, I think the language, as long as there's consensus that that language is okay that I added at the end of the.
Yeah, so I think there's two
Just-
questions. One is the budget number, and the second one is the contingency that we have.
So we need to. Yes. Okay.